Welcome to Storytime at the Rubus, a weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm one of your hosts, Charla.
Hey guys, I'm Charla's husband, Daniel. I'm just going to introduce myself that way from now on.
Stop.
So I think we are going to have to reintroduce ourselves just a little because I know we're going to have a ton of new listeners this week because we have a very special guest. You'll hear more about that here in just a moment. But for those of you that are new, Charla and I drive the Rubus to Bonnaroo every year. We kind of expand to other festivals. Me and her go to some other things, like we're going to Halloween this year. By the way, our guest is going to be there as well. We go to Burning Man and stuff like that too. But the big thing for us is we have a new 501c3 nonprofit we'll talk to you more about in a moment. We've been doing this podcast for about 5 years now. We're welcome to have you on board. We know why you're here for most of you, so we're going to talk to Peter from Goose here in just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is something I've been teasing for a while now, and we have him on. Charla, you been good?
Yes. But I hear that you have been even better because you and some of our friends just got back from
the Sphere?
Las Vegas.
Yes, in Las Vegas. So we're going to talk about that after we talk to Peter from Goose here in just a little bit. But yes, me and Evan, who are going to be on the episode here in just a little bit, went to the Sphere with so many of our friends. Skylar was there, Shayna was there, Maddie was there, Lisa was there. We had so many people there.
Jums was there.
Dana was there. We talked a little bit while we were in Vegas, and Evan and I talked a little bit after we talked to Peter about the Sphere for a little bit. So after we talk with him, you'll hear a little bit more about that. But Charlotte, do you want to tell everybody that is new this week a little bit about TOTEM, our nonprofit?
Sure, absolutely. So TOTEM is the opportunity to experience music. And TOTEM is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that essentially helps young people go to music festivals and helps them to experience the magic of the music community. It is for underserved young people ages 21 to 25, and we provide mentorships, scholarships, and cultural exchanges.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot for the past 2 years with that. You can learn more about it at totemfnd.org. And one big way that we fund the nonprofit is we have a Patreon for this website. It is at patreon.com/Rubus. And every cent that we bring in goes to the TOTEM Foundation. It buys supplies for our scholarship recipients. It covers their overhead. It gets supplies for our booth, all kind of things like that. And Charlotte, would you like to run through the names of our Patreons real quick?
Sure, I would love to shout out our podcast Patreons. We've got Flossie and Benji, John, Lexi, Isaac, Danny, Lisa, Butter Crew, Nick, Delaney, Molly, John with Texas Roo Crew, Brady, I Am Rave Dad, Taylor, Courtney, Casey with Texas Roo Crew, Christy, Charmel, Jums, David and Aurora, String Bean, Sack and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB, Sam, Austin, James, Hygiene Queen, Chris and Shy, Dan, Ernst, Harris, Keith, Casey, Andrew, Amanda, Nick, Maddie, McFerg, Kent, Randy, Bosco, Eric and Ben, Evan, Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you everyone who contributes. Like I said, every penny goes to the TOTEM Foundation. You can find it at patreon.com/Rubus. We're bringing in around $500 a month, and we have our scholarship recipients in this week.
Yes, we do. Yeah. I cannot wait for you guys to meet all of them. Oh my goodness, they are so amazing. We are actually starting to introduce our scholarship recipients on our social media, so look for that all throughout this week, and we'll send out a big email for that as well. One of the ways that you can actually get involved more directly with TOTEM this year is by volunteering at our booth in Planet Roo. We're putting that out all over our social media and on our website, totemfnd.org. You can go on there and actually sign up to take a shift at our booth that's going to be in Planet Roo in the nonprofit village. So just totemfnd.org if you want to sign up to work a little shift during Bonnaroo. At the booth.
Yeah, we're just looking for people to donate an hour or two of their time at Bonnaroo, and you can totally sign up to do it at a time where you're not going to miss a show.
Exactly. You can sign up for your first choice, second choice, third choice.
Yeah.
And we also have some t-shirts for sale on there as well. So if you want to support TOTEM by picking up a TOTEM t-shirt, we'd be happy to provide you with that.
Yeah, check that out at totemfnd.org. You can thank us for anything by just spending an hour or two with us. We'll make it fun, I promise.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Charlotte. All right, with no further ado, why don't we get to this interview that Evan and I had with Peter from Goose? Let's go. Hey, everybody, I'm happy to have you join us for a very special episode this week. I am thrilled that we have our guest on this time. We've got Peter from Goose. How's it going, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Well, man, thank you for being here. I know you guys are super busy. The album just dropped. You've got a big tour and a lot of festival appearances coming up. First question, how are you doing? Are you staying chill with so much going on these days?
There's a lot going on right now. I think the whole spring was a lot going on. So in just preparation for the album release, and still practicing a lot as a band. So I think it's yeah, schedule stays pretty busy, and I'm at home right now, which is honestly rare, but I do appreciate it immensely. You would not, it's just like if you're out on the road as much as we are and like doing as much as we are, you just really appreciate the comfort of your own couch sometimes and just like walking around your neighborhood. I live in Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn so much, so it's really awesome to be here. And it's just with everything going on, this is like a peaceful place for me, to be honest.
What does a chill day look like when you don't have any band stuff going on?
A chill day. I mean, when there's no band stuff going on, that's rare, I would say. Because even today, it's like, we were bouncing off ideas on different merch designs for the summer. So like that's what we're working on today. I made a design myself, but I don't know if it's gonna get used. But like, and I did laundry. So I went for a run. It was pretty chill.
There you go. The
I
important
go out
part.
to dinner later, but this is a pretty chill day overall. And then I
That's
do love a day where there's just no, like, I feel like yesterday there was nothing, like no pings, no texts about the band at all. Almost honestly, yesterday it was kind of like,
I was
which
gonna
was
say,
nice.
like getting the laundry done, that's some real rock star stuff, man.
Dude, it's for real, I and sometimes I help out my fiance with her laundry too. She's working today, so I was like, I'll do your laundry too.
Yeah.
I'm a laundry guy. I have no problem with that. I actually like doing laundry.
All right. Well, we know who to talk to when we've got dirty clothes at Bonnaroo here in about a month and a half.
Please, no, 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 definitely not me, man.
Let's jump into that. So like we're a very
We're
Bonnaroo
very bonded
podcast here. So like let's go ahead and talk about some of those things. So like Evan and I were talking with you about like we've been to a number of your shows, either at like one of your regular tour shows or a festival set. This is an obvious question, but how do you approach a set and your show differently when you're playing somewhere like Bonnaroo as opposed to like some amphitheater?
Well, I've had like I've been to Bonnaroo before, as a guest or like actually as a volunteer.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2016, I volunteered to set up like some of the glamping style tents.
Hmm.
I was there for a week in advance. And my band at the time, Great Blue, we set up in the volunteer campground and did like a renegade set, powered off like one of the generators there. So that was like one of the coolest experiences of my life because we were just like some random people who just like set up in like a field, like plugged into a generator, and then as we were playing, like we amassed like an insane crowd, and we were like, "This is crazy!" Like we just like kept ripping, but like it was Wednesday before the festival, so nothing was happening, and it was just all the volunteers there, and that was one of the coolest things ever. So I remember that, and like when we were going out to Bonnaroo, I remember those moments. And I'm like, well, I was like there going to the festival. I think it's a good perspective in order to like approach the set and be like, I know what it felt like to be like standing right there or like waiting for the pit at the stage, or you know what I mean? And like we're definitely gonna give it our, this is gonna be we're gonna give it our best, to make it up for those people who I know how far the campground is from the stage, walk all the
Well,
way to see us. It's gonna be good.
going to be a sold out year. So yeah, some people are going to literally walk an hour to come see your show.
But that's like I know what it feels like. We'll definitely make it as sick as we can, you know?
I
Yeah,
gotta
you
say,
guys.
Peter,
Yeah, go ahead, Evan.
you're speaking to the right people because we now have Renegade sets on Wednesday in the campground at our campsite.
There you
So
go, man.
so you're really passing the baton, actually.
Yeah.
Dude, it's such a sick thing.
One thing I'll tell you too is like Bonnaroo has become very good about supporting Renegade sets. So they're like maybe like 20% official. They actually put it on the schedule these days. So we have our
That's
thing.
awesome.
Yeah. So even, almost a decade later, it is a little bit of a different place. That is very interesting to me that you talked about 2016 because honestly, that was my favorite year.
It
That
was a
was,
sick year. There was the lineup was insane.
I bet you did some of the same stuff and went and saw like M83 or Tame Impala or LCD that one Friday night.
I waited for the pit for Tame Impala, which was insane. Me and my friends like got a watermelon and we just like took a bottle of tequila and like stuffed it into the watermelon.
That's
So
what one
we just
does.
rolled into the festival with like these giant like Ziploc bags of watermelon slices that were soaked in tequila. We just waited in line for Tame Impala Pit and just and house those. It was hilarious.
Amazing. Well, Evan,
Yeah.
what do you got for Peter tonight?
Well, I just wanted to say I wanted to go off one thing that you said before, Peter, about the city.
Yeah.
Um, I live in Jersey City, and I've actually run into you organically and Rick organically separately, just hanging around. It was you after the Maggie Rogers Webster Hall Surrender release show.
No way. That's
Yeah. And then I ran into Rick just at a bar in the West Village one time. So I just wanted to throw that like little anecdote in there.
He knows everybody in town. He's the
Maggie
man.
Rogers was great, and that show was awesome.
Oh my God. Do you remember, speaking of tequila, do you remember the tequila being passed from the
I
back?
do from the back, from the front of house all the way to the stage.
It
Pretty
was
awesome.
like the holy tequila shot.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess one thing we want to do is talk about the new record. We've I've been listening to it on repeat all day actually because I had a 4 hour flight this morning.
Wow.
So I think it's really cohesive, really diverse at the same time, and like really strong writing, and also it seems like kind of like a journey from front to back. Do you want to maybe like tell us a little about like your thoughts and themes on the record?
Yeah, well, thank you. I think the bulk of the songs were written in 2022. At least even towards the beginning of that year. A lot we did like tour in winter 2022 where we debuted like a basically a new song every night for like 6 nights, and a lot of these songs were like in that zone or came along on that tour. Um, and so the heart of the album really feels like it was written around then, and that's like that was a special time for us. There was a lot going on as well as there are now, but like we were preparing for like our first show at Radio City, which was crazy. And we are about to have the release of Dripfield that year, which was cool as well. So um thematically, I think when I listen to the album, the biggest theme I see is just change. Dealing and accepting change in its own way. I think almost every song, like I feel like goes through that type of theme. It's like um, you know, that's kind of the overarching vibe I get, which but was not intentional in any way. Um, what it's just something that I thought of in the last like few weeks listening to the album like front to back. Um, didn't even realize it while we were recording it or anything like that. But it does seem like a lot of the lyrical themes have to do with dealing with change and like taking it on or not knowing what to do or it's kind of questioning in a way.
Is that
Yeah,
something
and you
that you
got
guys kind of like think about as you're writing, or do you find that it like has just organically happened after the fact?
It just happened. I definitely don't think nobody I didn't talk to Rick about that, and like we nobody talked to anyone about about like this being like a theme of the record. Um I think there definitely is some of like everything must go being like um being like the album title speaks in a lot of ways to everything. Like it's a collection of like a bunch of different styles of music and types of songs, which I think it also is. But it also has to deal with like, you know, everything must go, everything is good, like um everybody can like hang at the party. I think was kind of like a an overarching theme as well of just like here we have all these different characters and backgrounds of songs and styles of song, but they're all hanging out together. And you know, it's funny, like I think in a lot of ways we were like, this is such a random collection of songs. Like even going ahead of time, we were like, what is this? You know, but then after putting them together, it was like, oh, wait a minute, like this is totally how it's supposed to be. So it wasn't intentional at all to be like a cohesive thing, but I think it ended up in that it can ended up cohesive. So that's it's a pretty cool thing to listen back and feel that.
I also took the Everything Must Go kind of title as like you're kind of clearing the deck of these songs that you've been playing
Yeah,
for 3 years because you know like you've had Redbird and Silver Rising
right.
around for a while. So I was like, oh well, you know, we're finally getting these out in
That
the
is
studio
definitely certainly
version.
also a thing. And you know, it's not even like we're done. You know, there's you know, there's follow-up releases that we're already working on, you know, and like that's also like it's a lot of tracks that are still like in the rotation have to get recorded and put out, you know. So there's some of that also coming up next.
And you also added some more textures with like the strings, and you got the horn sections in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got some horns, we have some cello. You know, I really credit our producer T. James Goodwin because he always has amazing musical ideas. And you know he throws in little guitar parts like the little like plucky guitar on Dustin Hoffman chorus I love. He did some really cool picking on Redbird, and I love his like I love the way he sculpted that ending section on the record a lot, and it's very different than we do it live. So I think it's cool that we like approach certain things the same as we do live, but also some things we approach different. So um, yeah, he's a mastermind.
Now, you brought up something that one of our friends wanted us to ask you about. How did the name Dustin Hoffman come about?
So that is I will try to do my best because it's Rick's song, but I've heard him like talk about it a few times. So I guess there is a movie. Oh, well, first of all, the track originally was like kind of had no lyrics. It was like the last thing to get finished on the record was the lyrics for that song, and that was like one of the last things we recorded. So for a while we just called it Mumbies because Rick was just, you know, mumbling lyrics the whole time. So we recorded the track while he was just mumbling these lyrics, and we were just calling it Mumbies. And then, you know, after a while, it was like, okay, like no lyrics, no lyrics. And then finally, there was some lyrics, recorded those. Didn't have like a title that like jumped out within the lyrics, I guess. And then, you know, I think there's a movie with Dustin Hoffman. I forget what it is, but I guess there's a character called Mumbies or Mumbles or something like that. And that was, he kind of went that route. So Dustin Hoffman.
Love it.
There you go.
Um, okay, so moving on to kind of the live show. I can tell that you're kind of you have a strong hand in I think doing like the soundboards and kind of putting the visual material together for the band. I wake up to an email almost every day of the new soundboards from last night's show is up. It's like, how do you guys do that so quickly and like so dedicated with such high quality?
Well, I mean, we all really care about that. I think, you know, coming into the band in like early 2018, late 2017, there weren't a ton of live recordings. And that was something I learned how to like kind of do when I was with the Great Blue before I joined, and actually when I was interning with were working for Dobapod for a summer back in 2014. I was mixing some of their live recordings. So just kind of like had always been dabbling in Logic, which is a DAW, and like, and then, when I joined Goose, I was like, guys, we should really be recording as many shows as possible. Like, put these out. I can mix them. It'll work, So we started to put out some shows, but we weren't able to record every show because when you're first starting out as a band, sometimes you have like 30 minutes to get load in, and then you're playing your show. So it's kind of hard to do that at that level. So we were putting out what we could gradually. And then, now we have like I was mixing shows for a long time, but then now we have our front of house engineer just doing a mix. So, that is just a lot easier to chop up after the show and just post online. But I still chop up the show and post it online. But it only takes me about half an hour to an hour now, rather than like before. If I was doing multi-track and then I was mixing it, it would be like a 3 hour thing.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of effort and love has gone into the recordings, but I think ultimately recordings are something that stand the test of time, and I think it's worth it. Personally, I love so many live recordings of different bands, and that is a huge way for me to get into a new band. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's also just I do a little bit of concert photography, so I'm always
Yeah.
impressed every time you have like a super dope like album like cover already with like everything done. I'm like, how did they do this in like 20 minutes?
Well,
Like
but you can,
as
yeah,
every
right. So like you probably have to talk to our photographers because they know the drill. It's like after the show, it's like, okay, what's the Bandcamp photo? And uh it's like, Peter, what do you want? Like we have to edit like 500 photos. Which one do you
Yeah. So I
want?
got a
So,
question about a specific show that you guys had recorded. I saw you, it was like last October, something like that, whatever it was, in Nashville. You played the Ascend Theater, one of my favorite amphitheaters. It's right next to the bridge and the river and
yeah.
everything over there. Evan and I were talking. He was texting from back home in Jersey City while I was at that show. Did you guys go to Third Man Records and pick up some new pedals that day? Because we've been guessing about that the entire time.
So do they actually sell pedals at Third Man?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
have
some of
their
Jack's
own
stuff.
all custom pedals, and they're
No
they're all
way.
they're all like Jack like specific pedals. Yeah.
So when I was going to But first of all, we did not. But I've been there.
Ah,
I was there to see like a secret raconteur show back in 2011 when I was going to college at Belmont. Which is I went there for a year before I transferred to NYU, and that is the coolest place. I love Third Man. So I definitely am going to go back and check out the pedals next time because I had no idea. I thought it was just a
Yeah,
store.
they
they
have a
have a
little,
whole hardware line now, like
yeah.
Third Man
I
Hardware.
have to
Yeah,
check it out. That
dude,
sounds
check it out. It's really cool.
There's
Cool
a
sounds.
demo room in the back of the public facing store where like almost everything that they have is hooked up to one guitar and an amp, so you can kind of fool around with it if you want.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I mean, that's where the Raconteurs played like on some stage that was like in the back of Third Man or something. And it
Yeah,
was
yeah, the
the
Blue Room.
loudest
Yeah,
concert I've ever been to. My ears rang for like 2 days. It was absurd. Like
On that 2019 Raconteurs tour, they played a couple like secret shows in Brooklyn at like Baby's All Right
sick.
and Rough Trade. They were so freaking cool.
You never forget a show like that. So, I applaud them for like doing something like that. I know it takes some logistical work to pull, a small show off once you can play like a bigger room. So like I think it's really cool that they do that. And I think we should do more of that.
I don't think
you're
anyone
in.
would mind that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a kind of another question going towards kind of your organization. You guys seem like you're super like independently run and you don't have like a lot of outside influence. How does that change how you guys operate? Like it seems like you can release stuff whenever you want. You're not on a tight schedule or a contract or anything, so it seems like pretty liberating for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what it would feel like to do the other thing.
Yeah.
It feels like pretty I mean, yes, it does feel extremely free in terms of like we can kind of, it's mostly just the band talking with our managers and bouncing ideas, and like, oh, let's try this, like, let's try that, et cetera, et cetera. And it's cool because like we can be collaborative. Like the band has ideas on like tour dates and routing, and we get involved on that. The band can be pretty much and is involved in almost every decision, so it's like it's pretty awesome that we can be involved and that we have a team that respects our opinion and like it's kind of like it's a big group effort between our team and the band. So I think we have it pretty good. I feel pretty fortunate that it's this such that situation.
I
It
feel like
seems like
that
you guys
could
are doing
be
all right.
something that could be like a bit of a growing pain for a band that is like really blowing up. Like as you guys are able to play bigger and bigger rooms, do you find it easy to retain that type of control?
There's a lot more decisions to be made, but I think like there's something unique about just our group of people. Like we're not like trying to be like, we're not trying to be hands off. We're trying to like get involved as much as possible. Um, and I think it just shows like we really care about not just the music, but everything else that goes along with it. I think like the whole world of Goose is something that is just so important to us. And it's like I'm happy to like I like looking over like the photos after each show and being like we're posting like I'm gonna go post these. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I like that art form. I like being involved in the photography and like showcasing that. I think it's a really cool thing and I love our like video team and like our live stream stuff and I love being involved with that team and like talking about different creative ideas. Like it's just, it's like the band has so many different things that are interesting besides just the music. So I think it definitely and we're all like interested in those things also. So it's kind of like, well, we don't want to be left out. It's like we want to be a part of that too because it's fun.
All right, cool. I
Yeah.
got one more thing and I'll hand it back to Dan and we'll wrap.
Okay.
Um, how did that Luna show come together? That was freaking crazy. And then what are you guys looking forward to bring to Bonnaroo 2025?
Yeah. So Luna thing was a really awesome idea. We started working with like a creative team on like ways to, make our festival in Mexico more immersive and a cooler experience for everyone. So, this person has tons of experience doing like festival style stuff, like really cool installations. And so we were just working with them and they found like Luna in New York and they're like, wow, this is perfect. It fits in with the theme of like a carnival which is like a slightly tied to the album, for sure. And it was like, let's do a show here. Let's do something here. Get a bunch of characters and it'll just make it like a weird, like one-off thing. And we were like, sure, sounds cool. Let's figure it out. So we just dove in and we got a whole bunch of actors to be different characters from the album on the cover. Like Cotter and I even dressed up and like went out and interacted with the crowd ahead of our show. So like I was out there as a monkey, like throwing bananas at people, and nobody knew it was us. So that was super fun and extremely liberating as well. And like Rick basically had people write in a book, just different lines and thoughts that they had, and he went on stage and like improvised lyrics based on what people wrote, and that was super interesting. It was just like it was like I don't know, just a really cool creative thing that had like almost no pressure. It was just like let's just go be creative and have fun with this. And I think the improv set was sick. We work with Stuart Bogey, who is playing he plays on the record. So he sat in for the whole set, and he's such a good creative mind. So I think those jams turned out pretty good. And now they're online to listen to.
I'm only here for the zip line.
I'm only here for the line. Exactly. Yeah, and I think for Bonnaroo this year, this is by far the biggest set and stage that we've played at Bonnaroo. Like I guess we only played it once, but we played the tent last time. And now they put us on the second main stage at like 9:30 p.m., which is pretty insane. Like that's a pretty good
Yeah.
set. So
You know what? That's full circle for you too, because you're playing the same stage close enough to the same time that Tame Impala did back in 2016.
that's pretty funny, man.
We'll show up with the watermelon vodka for your show now.
Everyone, it's a watermelon vodka party. But I am so excited for this set. So I think it's gonna be great. We know the weight of what it means to anyone coming out at that time, and we're gonna do our best to do our best, I guess.
So I guess like my last question, you know the deal because you've played these Renegade sets at Rue before. Like,
Yeah.
do you ever get the opportunity? Is there any discussion amongst the band to do something a little weird or different when you come to some of these festivals that aren't necessarily like your show? I mean, you know everything that happens in the campgrounds. There's all kind of tomfoolery. I know sometimes you're in and out of a festival because you have to be to the next thing. But do you ever think
Right.
about like, oh, what's something really crazy we could do at a place like Rue or Halloween or something like that?
I mean, certainly, it definitely thought crosses the mind. I'm not gonna, well, I won't like spoil anything, but I definitely it's definitely something we're thinking about, we thought about for various festivals and events. I think it's you know, Bonnaroo's like it's in a lot of ways it's just the best festival. So I think that definitely that comes into our mind, and we want to make it a special set. So I think regardless of what happens, it'll feel special for us, and I hope it feels special for everyone else.
Well, I think it is, man. And if you ever do want to do something a little weird, I got a big blue hippie bus. You guys can come play anytime. We'll, we'll do
Sounds
some watermelon vodka at the Monkey Bar that we have right next there. We'll hook you boys up.
sounds great.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You literally just had an album drop, so it's not lost on us how special it is to have you. Had a really cool time, and man, I'm really excited. I already was. I've loved you guys for a while, and now knowing the story about what happened for you back in 2016, and apparently I was 5 feet away from you for that Tame Impala show that night.
That's right.
Yeah, it makes it even more special, man. So good luck with the tour. Congratulations on the record. We love you guys in the band. We can't wait to see you in Manchester here in just about a month and a half.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. It's not every year you get to play Bonnaroo, so we're definitely super stoked.
Heck yeah, dude.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you on the farm, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
Oh,
Thanks, Peter.
Evan, what's going on here? Where
It's
we at?
morning.
Morning.
We are-
Is it morning?
It is morning, technically, yeah.
We were up for 24 hours last night.
We had to get some sleep last night.
We totally were.
Hey,
It was like-
what was your name again? I'm sorry.
I'm T. It's Teresa. I don't think I told you my name.
I'm Daniel. This is Evan.
Evan. Nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
we were recording a bit for this podcast thing that we do. You said you're from Iowa?
Yeah,
What town again?
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids. We got a very good friend up there.
Chloestown.
Chloe's town. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if I ever meet a Chloe, I'm going to tell her I met
We'll connect you.
Daniel
Yeah.
and
Evan.
Evan.
Yeah,
I was going to say Evan, and then I'm like, somehow it doesn't sound like Evan. I don't know too many Evans.
You know this Evan now.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
All right.
to meet y'all.
So there's no laws because Evan got us some claws, mango flavor.
So to give us some context, we are waiting in the Dead merch line at the Venetian for posters and T-shirts and all that.
So you
And all
did
that.
this last time. You came to like the little merch store over here in the Venetian. What all they got in here?
Last year they had a much bigger exhibit. They had a lot of old photos from Jay Blakesburg. They had almost a mini museum. They recorded the Grateful Dead Sirius XM channel, some live shows here.
Is it not
They
as
had-
big of a deal this time around?
I think it's just kind of like a merch store this time. They had
Okay.
the new Volkswagen buses and decorated
The
dead
electric
stuff.
ones?
Yeah.
You know, I've been talking with Taco about that. He said he didn't like it at first, but I think he kind of came around.
Yeah.
He's not getting one. He still thinks it's a scam. I don't know. I'll check in with him.
I think the range on those is
200, 300, something like
not
that.
enough.
But yeah, so what did you get when you were here last time?
Well, I spent probably 2 hours just walking around the exhibit alone, but
Yeah.
definitely spent a pretty penny on some posters because they also had like old show posters from the old Dead and Company stuff. But I got some foil posters. They have weekend posters and then whole run posters. So they really know how to take your money.
I'm going to get one if I see something that really, shines to me. We'll see. Some of them I haven't cared as much for. It's been kind of hit or miss. Like, there was one that had the Grateful Dead bear in front of a slot machine, and you could scratch it off.
Oh, they have those. They have
That's
those.
a cool concept, but I was like, I don't know if I'm sold on that one for like almost $100, But we'll see. I want to get something. We'll figure it out. So, another thing I was going to ask you. So, you've been here before. For anybody that missed this thing that we did last year, give me a vague idea of what to expect when we actually go to the show tonight.
Prepare to legitimately have your mind blown.
I'm very prepared for that.
I've been saying to everyone, there's very few things that live up to the hype.
You think it does?
These days, it exceeds the hype.
Okay.
So if you can make your way here for, especially the Dead shows, because they're very well choreographed and creatively directed, get your ass here.
All right. Another thing I was going to ask you about, too, and you're probably the best person on the face of this planet to ask this. Is Dead & Co. kind of John's band now? Like, what's going on? Like, he's kind of like sort of a creative director or something like that?
Yes, so he's been the creative director for all these Sphere shows. I think he also has, technically, don't quote me on this, but 51% of the band, like, legally controlled financially.
Of Dead & Co.,
Yes.
not the Grateful Dead estate
yes,
or
of
whatever.
Dead & Co.
Yeah.
There was like some news that came out about that last year that he owns 51% of it. So I think he's going to be the metaphorical baton for probably the next generation.
That's kind of where I want to ask you an opinion. Like, how do you feel about that? Because, Bob's not going to be around for forever. So is it going to be a whole new band in like 10, 15 years? Are you okay with that? Do you think everybody would be okay with that?
I think that the way that they're doing it is very delicate and respectful. So, there's always going to be some grumpy people, but if you want it to live on, this is the best way to do it. And I think John is being super, super respectful and also expanding the limits of what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So I think as long as they're doing it respectfully and they're still constantly gaining traction. So,
well,
as long as
clearly,
as long as they kind of do it in that style, the majority of people are going to be pretty happy with it.
Yeah. I will tell you, this will be my third time seeing him. So back at Rue 2016 and then in Atlanta a couple years ago, I could definitely tell that John was taking more ownership of it. He seemed like, maybe intimidated isn't the right word, but a little shy. If he can be that, when I saw him in 2016, he was kind of letting Bob lead things. But when I saw him in Atlanta, you could kind of see that he was giving him a little nod, like, hey, I'm running with this.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like Bob is okay with him being the front man these days.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you step into something that's been going on for 60 years at this point, you got to know your place, and you can't start calling the shots when you first walk in. And I don't think he was super comfortable in the first couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't even think he was comfortable in his own skin being there. Probably had some imposter syndrome.
Well, you got to imagine, that's pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, he was already very successful, but you step into literally almost Jerry's shoes. Like, that's got to be wild, man.
Yeah. But you got to praise him, and this is only his side project.
You're going to go see your boy in Nashville at Pilgrimage if you can, right?
I'm working on that,
Yeah.
I realize I have my cousin's wedding the Saturday before that, so it's going to be a tight weekend, but might be able to make it work.
Oh,
we'll see
by
how
the
the
way,
dust settles on PTO after the summer.
We should also give a shout out to your girl Sky. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Skylar.
This is a pretty damn good birthday for her. Take her to Vegas to see the Dead & Co. show at the Sphere. That's insane.
I've already brought her breakfast in bed of a Bloody Mary and cold brew coffee.
My man. Yeah. Yeah.
I've done my due diligence.
Shout out to you, and a negative shout out to Spirit Airlines that screwed her over yesterday.
Oh, my God.
I met her for a drink in the Atlanta airport yesterday. Me and Shana was there. And she's like, I wonder if I've got time for Bojangles. She had another 2 hours for Bojangles. All right. We got a half hour or so, 40 minutes before this thing opens. But, there's a bunch of cool deadheads around. This is fun to hang out for about an hour. And then we got brunch after this.
It's kind of like a pit line.
It kind of is if you think about it. Wow. Very similar, actually. This is a little nicer of a pit line inside the Venetian where it's air conditioned instead of like 100 degrees in front of the wet stage.
Absolutely.
Shayna, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm feeling fabulous. I'm so excited to see this sphere tonight. Fun fact, it's my first time ever seeing Dead & Company. So
How does that happen? You have peripherally been around bands like this so many times.
So to be fair, to be fair, if you watch Letterkenny, you're a real one, I love you. My first Bonnaroo ever, it was the only year ever I have left Bonnaroo on a Sunday. I promise you, if you're hearing this and listening to this, don't do that. It's so distraught.
Never miss a Sunday show.
Never miss a It's on my little tiny mic interviews. Don't miss a Sunday show. I missed Dead & Company closing, and I kicked myself so hard for that. But I saw Bob Weir in the cheese incident last year.
See, I feel like that's pretty close, though, and that's kind of what I was going to ask you about. You read my mind. How was that show?
It was so emotional, and to be honest with you, like Phil Lesh, honestly, R.I.P., he did pass away while Halloween started that weekend. So the entire weekend was just emotional. Anytime Cheese came out, it was emotional. And when Bob Weir came out, the emotions were hyphen times 20. But the crowd was there for it. And they played the absolute greatest time of their life. I was crying during it. So I guarantee y'all I'm going to cry tonight during the sphere. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Like, my jaw's going to hurt because I'm just going to drop the entire time.
I have been trying to go relatively spoiler-free. Like, I know the gist of what happens. You leave San Francisco and go to space, come back at the end.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of the specific parts I don't know. But, like, I have seen parts that really tug on your heartstrings if you kind of know, like, the whole history of the Dead and everything. I am also afraid I'm just going to lose it.
So, Dan, I'm right there with you. During this time tonight, I think you and I are both going to go on an emotional journey together. And I'm here for it.
Oh, we're going to other planets tonight, yeah.
We're going into the whole planet. I can't wait for Evan Bonnaroo, the professional photographer of Bonnaroo, to capture the moment of you and I losing our shit. Because I am so ready for this. Like you said, I've looked at some of the videos. I'm not trying to spoil it, but like I love Grateful Dead, love Dead & Company. I've been listening to music, but like nothing can prepare you for what you're about to see. Is what I will say.
The thing that really gets to me, that has really made me love this and this whole sphere of influence, to make a pun, is that like all this whole Dead stuff, like Grateful Dead and all the like kind of spin-off bands are kind of like the star that the rest of these communities orbit. It feels like the whole festival community probably wouldn't exist if it weren't for all the Deadheads back in the 60s and 70s and Shakedown Street and all that. Like, it keeps coming back to the source, and this is the source that we're seeing tonight.
I 100% agree, and it comes back to that because, like, I listen to a lot of genres. As people probably know, if you don't know, I listen to everything. But here's the thing is, everyone always comes back to the Grateful Dead, Dead & Company, and they're like, you know what? We try to pivot and we try to base it off of that influence. And like, someone in an interview, they were talking about like the Grateful Dead, like they play the music for people that you want to hear when you are in harmony, when you're in that euphoric state, 110% of the time. And when you're in your day-to-day life, like honestly, right now in the real world, it's hard. It's very hard to feel that way. Like, I'm a social worker, so I'm a very empathetic person. So like, sometimes it's very hard to be positive in today's light. But listening to Dead & Company is what gives you that euphoric feeling, of that positive feeling of like, you know what? No matter what I'm going through, it's gonna be okay. There's always there's always a shining light at the end of the tunnel. No matter what you're feeling through, like I've always followed through this premise, like the darkness always has an end. The sun will always shine again, and that is Dead & Company for me. Like, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what stresses I have, the sun will always come right back up, and we're just gonna dance through it.
That's so true.
The best way is to dance through the hard times to get to the good times, because the hard times, and I know people hate to hear it, but like honestly, the shit that you go through, the hard times, the rough times, that builds you. So when you're in those great euphoric 100% happiness moment times,
yes,
that's what makes it so worth it. You're sitting there and you're like, you know what, I went through all of that, and I'll be dang, that brought me to this moment, that brought me to this friend group, that brought me to these people that maybe I don't see, because like everyone I'm here with right now, no one's from my same home state. I met everyone through Bonnaroo, through all these different states, but like, I'll be dang, I came here for one certain purpose, music, but also to hang out with these beautiful people. Like,
That's kind of what I was thinking. You were talking about like, oh, we gravitate to the light. Me and Evan had a great conversation with a guy while we were waiting in the merch line this morning. He was like, you know what? This is all one giant community. Like, even if you don't know this other guy in line or next to you, whatever, you know a friend of a friend of a friend that knows that guy. Why is Elvis with Bon Jovi in that picture right there? That's weird.
honestly, welcome to that. You're exactly right. In my previous job, for people that don't know, I specialize in addiction mental health. I always preach, we're all recovering from something. It doesn't have to be a substance use disorder. It doesn't have to be addiction. Maybe you just got through a heartbreak. Maybe you just got through a divorce. Maybe you just lost a pet. Maybe you just lost a child. No matter what, you're all recovering from something. And at the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure our own stuff out on this planet, be the best persons of ourselves that we can be.
Chug it.
And that's all that it means to be. Is like, we're not perfect, but hey, we're all coming here to enjoy this one thing.
Preach.
That's what it is to be.
Also, we're going to get to this later, but also a toast because happy birthday, Skylar.
The champagne of people.
Okay, we have
Well, Evan, that was fun hanging out with Peter. That was amazing getting that story from 2016 when he played a Renegade set. I didn't know about that. Did you?
Not really, but apparently he started the Wednesday party.
Apparently, yeah, way back in 2016. That's before we did it. So, yeah, the lineage goes back to Goose, I suppose.
We owe him a big favor for that.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. But I wanted to take a moment to follow up about something else. So you literally just got back to Jersey City. I got back to Huntsville 2 days ago. How was your second night at the Sphere?
I know. I only went to the Thursday night's show with you.
Oh, I know, but this was your second time there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It was nearly as good as the first one. The set list was damn near perfect. It's also just super cool to bring other. It's kind of like Bonnaroo, like you bring other people in there for the first time, and you see everyone else's jaw drop, and that's half the fun of the show. And I mean, they were freaking ripping. John is on absolute fire right now for this whole tour, and the creative direction for this whole show is has contained such acrobats. So it's weird to have 20-minute guitar solos, and then it also really, really specifically timed things. So it's both loose and really tight at the same time.
There was this moment where you were walking upstairs during the intermission to go get a beer or something, and you turn around, you're just absolutely euphoric, and you're like, I think he may be the greatest artist in the world right now.
Yeah, I might stand by that one.
Yeah. And I'm like, Evan, I know you have a man crush on the man up there. It's okay. I already knew that. But yeah, dude, my impression of that place, I've told people it is really hard to verbalize because there's literally nothing to compare it to. There is nothing like that venue on this earth. It felt to me like it was 80% concert, 20% movie, if that makes any sense. There's a bit of a narrative that they can tell with all the visuals. It was amazing to me how big the place is. Everybody says that, but you don't really understand until you go into the room. It felt like arena size, like football stadium size to me. So having that big of a screen and that big of a space is another technological wonder. I just think that place is it's worth the money. Like, there will be other bands than just Dead Company playing it eventually. If one of your favorite bands is playing that thing, it's worth the money because the whole experience is amazing. And not just, the venue itself, but everything. Like, they really take care of you. There's signs that tell you when the show is restarting. There's so many cool things downstairs that we didn't even have time to look at, honestly.
Yeah, the staff is awesome. It's a whole new format. It's a whole new format of a show. I think you were saying that, Daniel.
Yeah. Nobody else can do this because there isn't another Sphere or anything even remotely near it right now. And it's kind of silly to even try to describe it because you can't understand it until you are in the room for yourself.
Yeah, couldn't say it better myself.
So, yeah, if another one of our favorites play, we got to plan a trip next year, I suppose.
Oh, well, you got a deal.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see about that. Well, Evan, thank you so much for helping me talk with Peter. Me and you got to try to get in the pit for that show and troll him if we can now with the watermelon vodka.
Yeah, I think we just invented a new meme or totem or whatever.
Maybe a new monkey bar for Goose they're playing, yeah. All right, Evan. Good to see you, my man. See you later.
See ya.
Hey, Daniel,
Yeah, what's up?
what's your Taco Bell order?
Oh boy, this has been one of our kind of like questions that we ask everybody to introduce ourselves. I really like the Cantina menu, like that Cantina chicken burrito. That's kind of my go-to.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny because like they're putting in a Taco Bell around a mile from our house.
Oh my goodness. I don't even think it's a mile. I think it's less than a mile.
No, I had to look on Google. It's like 1.1, but it is bikeable. So
Oh.
I am totally planning on riding my bike over there. I can put-
R.I.P.
Yeah.
my summer body.
By the way,
All I got to say.
Taco Bell is welcome to donate to Totem. They are in no way sponsoring this. We had been asking somebody else, and they're like, Taco Bell? No. I go to the actual taco truck. It's amazing. But yeah, been a wild week. I want to shout out to the friends that I spent a lot of good times with in Vegas. That was an absolute blast. Seeing Dead and Company at the Sphere was one thing, but doing it with, so many friends was amazing, and I'll never forget it. And happy birthday, Skylar. That was such a great birthday party for her.
Oh, I can't imagine. Oh, my
She
goodness.
was out there living it, man. We had such a good time. But again, I want to thank Peter from Goose. I want to thank Ken Weinstein from Big Hassle for hooking that up for us. Maddie, who works with their agency for, connecting everything and making sure that we were all on time. That was a big guest. That was a big get. I was very happy to have him. And I think Evan was very happy to talk to somebody from one of his favorite bands, too. He was geeking out about that all this past week, sharing his questions while we were waiting on the Dead and Company show and everything. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't always hunt out having musical guests on the show, but it's just kind of naturally happening these days. Mm-hmm. So, there's a certain band from Australia I would love to have on. I'm going to put in every effort to hopefully talk with them at the farm.
Well, when you get Peter Frampton on, let me know.
Peter Frampton? You want to talk to, what would you tell Peter Frampton?
That we have the same birthday.
Oh, yeah, that is really
That,
cool.
No, I would tell Peter Frampton that I'm on this planet because of Peter Frampton's music.
Charlotte would
Literally.
probably not exist if it weren't for Peter Frampton Comes Alive.
Yeah, literally. That's why my parents got together. So
Yeah. Well, anyway, fun episode this week. Thanks again to everybody who helped make that happen. Thanks to Evan for helping me out because he is a Goose scholar. He knows far more than I ever could. So he really came in with the assist on that one. And, of course, thank you to Peter. Obviously, we're going to be at the Goose show
clearly,
at Rue.
yeah.
I heard a lot of people on our Discord praising his magnificent stash today. You can say that from a mile away.
Magnificent.
Yeah, so we'll see them at Rue. Me and you will see them at Halloween later in the year,
Yep.
too. We're going there with Maddie and Shayna and the crew. Wow, fun episode this week. What a blast. We are just around a month and change away from Rue. It is approaching. I've been outside working on the bus pretty hard this past week. It's getting to that point in the season where I'm putting on touch-up paint. It's ready to go. Like half of everything is stocked in there. We got to get a lot of kids stuff in there because Lacey's going with us this year. Go back a couple of episodes if you're new. Our 11-year-old niece helped co-host a couple of weeks ago. She is so excited for King Gizzard and Glass Animals and some other bands. We are raising that kid right, I hope.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see. Yeah, she's going to have a blast. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening, especially to you new people. We really love having you on board. We hope that you'll stick around. Our 200th episode special is coming up in a week or so. We have a lot of fun stuff planned for that. Some surprise guests and things like that as well. Can you believe it's been that long?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah,
We've
kinda,
actually
yeah.
gone way over 200 episodes, but
If you count all the
bonus
bonus
episodes,
Yeah. 200 real episodes. Yeah, that's coming up in about 2 weeks. We got some special surprises for everybody. Very good timing because we're so close to Rue. But yeah, guys, guess what? Until then, you need to get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you next week.
Bye.